when we started doing something so different than we're casually doing, right? We're normally doing back then, we realized that we're experiencing something that's so different. Like you know what? Like Einstein said, like if you're doing the same thing, you don't expect the same result, right?
Yes.
But if you're doing something different, if you're doing something that's not normal and unordinary, then you're gonna expect something different. And so this is my procrastination cure, and it's always to, like, you know, practice moving forward to the thing that you're afraid of.
Hey everyone, it's me again, Jay Christ. I hope you're having a great week so far. And we are now on episode 68 of TDLS podcast. In this week episode, I'm sitting down with Joseph Librero. He is a Filipino entrepreneur, business incubator consultant, and podcast host at The Big Picture. So in this episode, we talk about his ground-up stories, how he was able to reinvent himself throughout this amazing journey, how he was able to build his own company from scratch, and guide for you to manage your personal finances, especially for creatives. We know that, you know, a lot of you don't have any 360 full view of your income, what's coming in and what's coming out. So we talk about that in this episode. This is really good, and we also talk about practical insights to cure your procrastination and much more. So make sure to tune in until the end. And I just want to thank you a ton for those who already follow the podcast on Spotify. So for those who don't yet follow the podcast on Spotify, go follow it and make sure to, you know, check all the episode from 0 to 68. So you need some catching up to do. So yep, and it's also available on any of your favorite podcast app. Actually, it's available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, SoundCloud, TuneIn, Radio Public, and much more. So if you have your favorite podcast app, just search The Design Life Show. And just go to the site as well, thedesignlifeshow.com, to check all the episode and some infos that you need, or check that out and make sure to consume what you can consume, right? And let me know if it's valuable by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts. In that way, you are helping me to reach more people. So let's go jump into this week episode. I don't want to waste your time anymore. So without further ado, I hope you enjoy this episode. You're listening to The Design Life Show, a podcast that's helping everyone grow to live a meaningful and creative life. It's me, Jay Christ, a designer from the Philippines, best known for being an advocate of essentialism and optimism. I'm sitting down with awesome people to talk about their journey, their process, and the lessons they've learned along the way. Hey everyone, it's me again, Jay Christ, and welcome to another episode of TDLS, the Design Life Show. So I'm super stoked right now because finally, so I've been inviting Joseph from the Big Picture Philippines podcast, and I'm sure you're gonna love this episode because we're going to talk about a lot of great things, and especially how Joseph reinvented himself to jump into entrepreneurship. So let's go jump. So without further ado, Joseph, how are you? Thank you so much, man, for dropping by on the podcast, and thank you so much for accepting my invitation.
It's a pleasure, Jay. I'm super good. I'm doing really well. Yeah, I'm so happy to be here. It's an honor to be a part of your podcast.
No, man, it's my honor to have you on the show. So yeah. For those who are listening, for those who don't know Joseph, as a entrepreneur, as a host, can you as well as a husband, can you share a little bit about your background and what are you doing right now for those who are listening?
Sure. Okay. So I have 12 years of software development experience, and then a little over 3 years ago, I became an entrepreneur by accident. And well, I don't know really if it's by accident, but I would say it just happened because I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I just didn't have the guts to really start. And, in the very beginning beginning, I already know I want to be in a business. I want to run my own business. And then something happened 3 years back with my employer. We have a misunderstanding, and it turned into something that, like, it made me difficult to stay in the position. So I just said that, I'm just leaving the company. And it was like one of the hardest, I would say, the scariest decision that I made. And from that point onwards, I can talk more about this, but from that point onwards, I decided that, maybe it's a good time for me to start a business, and then, earn from my own energy and strength and creativity. And then I went into real estate. I started renting out condos. So, if you're familiar with Airbnb, I'm in that space. Cool. And then from that, I think simultaneously, I started together with Dave the podcast, the Big Picture podcast.
Yes.
Our goal for that podcast was really to inspire people. We realized that there isn't much content that's Filipino based, and by Filipinos. I mean, there are so many foreign content, right? But and they're good. In fact, some of them, and many of them, are really great.
Yes.
The problem is that we also know, and it's not really a problem, but the thing is, we have it in us. We have a knowing already that there's so much stories that Filipinos need to hear from, stories of Filipinos who basically became successful, who basically did the hustle, work hard, and with the talent and focus and perseverance, and they made it. And we would like to pick those stories, wherever they are, especially those who are starting up, in the middle of their business. I mean, we're looking at all this and realizing, there's so much gem here. And so that's when Dave and I decided to start the Big Picture. I think the Big Picture, if you haven't listened to the episode here in the Design Life show, Jay, you interviewed Dave, right? And he did talk a little bit about this.
Yes, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's a good story. You might want to listen to that episode also. But then after that, when we launched I'm launching my business at the same time, launching the podcast, and then eventually the real estate business became my bread and butter. And then from there I went into like car buy and sell, and then like the latest project that I'm in is called The Investment Guide. There's an online channel called Passion Cafe TV, and they have different shows. So they asked me to take over one of the oldest running show that they have for the second season. And I thought that it's something that really aligns with my vision and my goal and the type of content and value that I like to give. So I said yes to that. And now we have, the Big Picture. So if I were to think about the three things that basically occupies the space, or I'd like to it's a space that I'm working on right now. It's the real estate space, and then the podcast, and then the investment guide.
Yeah, and I'm followers as well of the Big Picture podcast. And for those who are listening, what Joseph mentioned is the episode that I did with Dave. So we did an episode with Dave at episode 58, if I'm not mistaken. So make sure to check that out as well. And we talk about a lot of cool stuff. How to live your life to the fullest. So that's the title of the episode as well. And Joseph, back to your journey, because you've been doing a lot of cool stuff and in the space of investment, podcast, content creation. And what are you doing? What are you thinking back then when when you jump ship from let's say a high paying corporate job, or into entrepreneurship, right? So I think there's a lot of Filipinos right now
it's a big thing, Jay. I'm gonna tell you, back then I have a 1-year-old kid, and my wife is pregnant with my second child. And so it was not, I would say it was not like one of the best moments
Whoa.
to be an entrepreneur.
Can imagine. Yeah.
It's not right. Imagine like your bread and butter is your work, and then suddenly, it's not really sudden. I think it's a span of 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
We have this back and forth with my employer, and then I'm not a very I'm a very peaceful guy, but the back and forth, it was just stressing me out to the point that I decided, like, you know what, maybe I should just give this up. I'm pretty
Mm-hmm.
sure I can find another job, right? But while waiting for the job, I believe I have, back then I have like 4 to 5 months worth of salary in my bank. And so I remember it was October 2015. Yeah, wait, 2016. So October
Yeah.
2016. Um, yeah, and I was there, and then I decided to just uh, talk to my employer, and I said, like, look, what do you want? Let's just do a deal. And he's a really nice guy, right? And it's just that it didn't work for both of us. And so we decided to part ways. And then from October to December, I decided, like, you know what, this is the time to be an entrepreneur. And like, I don't have I'm coming from a family, Jay, just to give our audience,
Yes.
a background. I'm coming from a low income family. I was not born in a really affluent family. And so I have no one who can, like, basically no one can save me, I'm the only person basically with my family that, like, there's no one, right? And so I don't want to burden them. I'm pretty sure they didn't know the story, even until this point. It's only me and my wife and some close friends that knows the story. And so I don't really want to burden them. And so I just decided that, let me just do this. And then I'm gonna assess. Like, I already have insurance license that time, so I started selling insurance. I did sell some, but it's like, Jay, the income,
Yeah.
the income was like very low. Like, I
Mhm.
said, like, I cannot, my family can't live there. At that time, Jay, I was paying my car,
Uh-huh.
and then I was also paying my condo.
Mhm.
So I'm thinking, like, oh my goodness, I have a wife and then my condo is in mortgage, and it's possible that I could lose everything. Like, if I could not find a job fast, I would lose everything. And so, like I said, it's not the best time to be the entrepreneur. My idea, Jay, when I was
Yes.
when I started being an employee, and the transition that I was thinking, Jay, was like, I get to save some amount of money,
Uh-huh.
and then maybe build a business on the side, and then the business would grow bigger,
Yeah.
and then I would be kind of forced, because the business is demanding more time from me. And I would tell my boss, like, hey, I'm sorry, I'd like to serve the company, but I have this business and it's working, and I have to leave the company. And by that time, the business is super stable.
Uh-huh.
Like, that was the imagination that I had.
That's the
But
idea.
the reality was,
Yeah.
the ideal was like that. Like, the ideal was me jumping, kind of being pushed into this situation. And I was like, I would say, like, one of the people that I'm probably thankful. There's a couple of people that I'm thankful for. No, wait, sorry. Let me back. 3 people. The number one person that I'm thankful for that time during my transition was my wife, Joyce. She was pregnant, right? But she was telling me it's gonna be fine, and that's just enough for me, to hear that your wife is with you, and just, I know she's trying to make sense of it all, and what our future would look like, right? And so she said, like, it's fine, we're gonna be fine, let's pray. And we're thinking, okay. And then there's this lady, her name is Sheila Zoe. You got to talk to her, Jay.
Mhm.
I would say she's a good resource for the podcast.
Uh-huh.
She was in
For sure.
Norway at this time, and she gave me a call, and missionary, and basically she has a crazy transition story also. And she told me her transition story, and she said, you're gonna be fine. But then I'm gonna tell you, those words, like, they're inspiring, but during the time, I'm like, if I look at my bank account, Jay, it's dwindling.
What the heck?
Right. Yeah. So it's like,
Mhm.
it's like, you know what I would imagine, like it's like a dynamite, you know, in cartoons, Jay, where like if the dynamite is being lit, you know,
Yeah.
the wire is like it's gonna
It
explode,
will
right? So
explode, yes.
yeah,
And it
and so
ruin
what I did,
everything. It will ruin everything, right?
right? So I was already feeling like, oh, I'm gonna go. Where will I'm gonna go? Am I gonna take a low paying job? And then even if I take a low paying job, Jay, because and this is a mistake with employees, right? If
Mhm.
for example your income is like 50,000, usually your lifestyle is like 60, 70,000, and this is a
Yeah.
mistake of every single employee. And if you're an employee now listening to this podcast, and if you're in that lifestyle, man, just shape up financially, shape up with your spending, because if you are, you know, spending more than you're earning, I'm gonna tell you, if there's some eventualities, it's just gonna limit the choices that you have. Anyway, that for me is like, you know, I'm used to a huge salary, Jay, and therefore my family is
Yeah.
used to it. So
Mhm.
I'm like, oh my goodness, we're gonna scale down so much, and I really hate it because, you know, Jay, I love my wife so much. When I married her, I meant to give her the world and
Yes. Mhm.
not this problem, right? So that was a situation. I was kind of tearing up, but then so Jay, I went to different business. I sell insurance. Tried to sell insurance. Um, I tried to look for different types of like income possibilities. I ended up going to agriculture, Jay,
Mhm.
and tried to
Wow.
sell eggs. Like,
Wow.
look, I'm a software development
Mhm.
manager. I'm studying
Yes.
technology.
Uh-huh.
I'm facing computer every day. What do I
Mhm.
know about agriculture?
Yeah.
Zero, nil, right? And yet I went into that business. And so it was a failure. I ended up, Jay, working so hard with so little return. And I told myself I could not do this. I have to be like 20 times this much in order to survive. And so I get so tired, Jay. I get so tired of trying October, November, and couple of months. No, actually, prior to October, I already tried it. I tried something, but it's not working. So for 3 months straight, Jay, I'm so like exhausted
Mhm.
already. I was exhausted, and I said like I don't know. And then I was listening. Um, I don't know if someone suggested this. I was listening to a guy. His name is Creflo Dollar. I don't know if you know him. Um, he's
Mhm.
a he's he's a televangelist. I was listening to one of his podcasts, but the reason why I listened to it is because he was talking about rest, rest, rest.
Got
So
it.
I'm thinking like I need that. Like it's so insane because I know I need to work, right? So the
Yeah.
situation here is this: I know I need to work, but yet I'm so exhausted, and I said like I need to learn how to rest. So it's
Mhm.
this is the situation. Like something inside of me says you need to learn how to rest. And so I
Yeah.
started. He has a series on rest. I think few weeks of that. So I listened to everything to about rest, and then I decided that on December, because Sheila, my friend, the friend I'm talking about, she said I'm gonna visit Cebu again. Can
Mhm.
you kind of host me? I want to do a talk. And so I decided. I told my wife Joyce, like, sweetie, can I take a break for December? And um, because I'm so tired. And second
Yeah.
is because I'm listening about rest, right? So I'm
Mhm.
thinking like I'm gonna apply this, and then I told her that sweetie, I'm just gonna help Sheila, with whatever she needs. So Sheila is a missionary from Norway. She's a Filipina.
Got it.
She's a missionary in Norway. She came back to Cebu to visit us, her family here. And so when she's here, I decided to organize this
Mhm.
event that she's doing. And so I just dedicated my life to that. And she's talking to me, and she said the same thing, right? And then the whole December, basically nothing happened. There was no increase in my income. My
Uh-huh.
my my cash flow is still dwindling. And so after December, January, it's really like, my wife wants to be happy kind of thing, but it's like, yeah, we're happy, but we're also sad, because financially, like
Yeah. You're
our money
struggling,
don't.
right? So
Yeah, it's
at
like,
the same time. Mhm.
yeah. And then one of the things because I at that time I kind of rested in my heart. I
Mhm.
told Joyce that we're still we're I know that our finances is dwindling, but let's have faith, because we're still not there anyway. We're still
Uh-huh.
here. We're still alive. Anyway, so towards the first week of January, my Sheila said, like, let's go to an island. there's an island in north of Cebu called Santa Fe, Santa Fe.
Got it.
It's yeah, it's a very beautiful island. It's like Boracay. It's very beautiful. And she said like, I'm gonna pay for your hotel, you and your family. Why don't you go with me? Because my friends there also. And so I said like, you know what? Maybe God will tell me something while I'll be in the beach. Maybe that's what I need. Maybe I need silence. Maybe I need just to get away from the city. And so we went there. It was a long drive. Got my family, get my yaya together with me, and then my wife was there also. We stayed in the hotel, and I was lying there, Jay. This is the first week of January. I was lying there, and this is about like you know how it is when the like it was a weekend, and the weekend after that is like the start of work day or something like that, or school day. So people are busy already in Bantayan and in Santa Fe, right? So I was there lying in the beach, and it was very, very beautiful. It's serene. I was praying. I said, like, Lord, reveal to me something. I'm gonna tell you something, Jay. The day got over, and nothing was revealed to me. Nothing. Yeah. So there was no plan. There was no revelation. There's nothing. There's nothing. And
so
I
what
said,
did
like,
you
oh
do? Yeah.
Yeah. So what I did was I did nothing. So what I did was I went back to what I know, what I was doing before. So I was building this, whatever. And then Sinulog came. If for those who of you are not familiar with Sinulog.
Yeah, I'm familiar with it. Yes.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest festival in Cebu. I think it's the biggest. It's the biggest festival in Cebu. And so all one of my wife's cousins, one of her cousin came to our condo, and she said like, oh, you know what? Do you know that I also bought the same a condo here, and I'm staying there now. I'm so happy that you're here. And this is what she said, Jay. Is it? I'm gonna leave you the key to this condo, right? I'm gonna leave you the key to this condo, and I'm gonna tell you, you can use that whenever you like. Just pay the electricity bills because I'm not using it most of the time in the year. Like I only go here a couple of times every year. And basically, that condo has been empty for 3 years now, something like that, 2-3 years, something. She said, like, just use it for whatever reason, right? If you have visitors, you can put them there because this is a very small. You know how condos are, right? It's very small. So she said, like, let's do that. And then, like, me and my wife were just looking at each other, right? And then suddenly I said, like, what if someone will rent? Right?
Yeah.
Then she said, like, well, let's agree on like sharing, and we did a sharing. That was January, right? And she said, I'm leaving back to my country. Well, because I think she's a citizen there. She's still Filipino, right? She's Filipina, but I think she's either permanent residency or something like that.
Yes.
She really lives there. I'm leaving on like end of January. Okay. And then, so what I did, Jay, was I took photos, created an online ad, and then I said, for rent for a certain amount, like per day. And then someone sent me a message, hey, I'm interested in your property. If I'm going there like for a week. I said, okay, you can get. So on February 1 that year, someone lived there, and I was like, oh, I'm going to wait for her to. So since this is the only property we have, I'm going to wait for her to leave, then I can get another guest, right? So towards the end of the week, she said, like, I'm going to extend for like a few more days. And then she extended for a few more days. And then she said, like, can I stay here for like a month? It's like, okay. And she said, wait, like, let's agree on how much, and then let's see, can I stay here for like 5 months or 10 months, something like that. And so we did agree. And like my cousin was so happy, right? Cousin was so happy because like this property has been like basically just a liability until that point, right? And so she earned money, we earned some money, right? But it was not really the best deal because like it was our first property. I didn't really know the pricing and all that stuff. So I said like, okay. And then I got so bored. I was like, what I'm gonna do now? The property has been, what do you call this? Occupied. So I'm gonna wait for another one. And then suddenly like someone, like one of my neighbors, went to the house and they said like, I heard that you're renting out properties. I have a property that I don't really use here in this condo. Would you be willing to like manage it? So long story short, Jay, that has been like the repeated thing that I've done. Now we're we're close to 20, more than 20, over 20 properties now in the same complex that we're managing. Fast track
Wow.
around 3 years.
Wow, that's really cool.
So,
And
yeah, so
I think for those who are not familiar with Airbnb, I think can you share a little bit about how can you earn
sure.
Airbnb? Airbnb. I think there's a lot of
Yeah,
newest features now. They have you can sell experience as well. You
sure.
can from it. Can you share a little bit about Airbnb?
Yeah, I will have a training, but it's in Cebu about
Got it.
earning from Airbnb. But let me just give you like what it is. So Airbnb is basically a disruption in
Yeah.
the real estate space.
Mhm.
Basically enables you and me, normal people, who owns properties, to rent out their property to like basically millions of possible clients. All you need to do is to create a photo, post it in their website, do certain things. Of course, the competition is high, and but then it does gives you the kind of the leverage that was not possible years ago, and they basically disrupted the whole industry. And then, like you said, Jay, they now enable people to sell experience. So
Yes.
you can, if you're, for example, if you're a chef, and like every week you have like a class, you can actually like maybe a special class, right? Like maybe you're cooking a what's a in your place, Jay, what's a really good food there? It's really famous and
Most of the
hard to cook.
time, ginataan. So
Ginataan, yeah.
with coconut, something like that.
Yeah.
Let's say,
Yeah, so maybe you can do like a coconut ginataan
yeah,
cooking experience, right? And
yes, got
so
it.
yeah, and people would
Uh,
just like enroll in that
Oh,
class.
wow,
So foreigners, for example,
100%.
foreigners or non-locals, they may be Filipinos visiting in Cavite, right?
Yeah, yeah,
In
yes,
Cavite, and they want to do something on the weekend. Maybe you can just tell them, you can sell the experience, and so that's how that's the what's this? That's what that Airbnb has
yes.
been doing.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. And I know someone who also as well into Airbnb, because I think this is really a great investment as well, especially for those Filipinos who are need a side income, additional
Yeah.
income for them as well.
Yes.
And it's funny
Yes.
because before we start this interview, I saw a post about how can you become earn more or become a not a millionaire, or just be financially secured, or
Yeah.
if that's real, if that's the real thing. Right, so real it said, I found a chart where when they say they in the chart it said that 50% you need to be a business owner, 20% stock market investor,
Right.
15%, which is maybe we can relate on Airbnb as well, real estate investment, and 15%,
Yeah.
15% is high paying jobs, right? So
Yeah.
it's really fascinating, to learn more about your journey as well, and I'm learning a lot of strategies. Well, if so, for those who are listening, make sure to take note of Joseph, stories
Yeah.
and strategies, because it's really fascinating. It's really valuable for those who like to have more income, especially for
Yeah.
those.
It's a viable income. But Jay, let me just highlight a couple of
Uh-huh.
things that I want to make sure that people
Sure.
would take away.
Yeah.
When I said I studied rest, it was very important for me to do that,
Got it.
because you know what, opportunities could be staring at you in your face, Jay, and yet if you are not rested in the inside, mean to say, when I say I'm not talking about physical rest, but
Uh-huh.
I'm talking about
Internal
internal rest.
peace. Yes.
Yes,
Got
if you're
it.
not rested in the inside, you'll not be able to spot the opportunities, and you will be like a a, like trouble magnet, because you attract who you are, right? You attract
Mhm.
your kind, basically. So that's what I'm saying. Like there was a reason why I studied rest. It was, I didn't understand it at that time, but when I was calmer, when the opportunity came, I was able to things straight. I mean,
Yeah.
it was just a simple conversation by telling my cousin's wife, like, hey, the what if someone rents? That those are just few words. I would not have I would not have thought about that had I was feeling trouble. That the same fear that gripped me when I was um like few months back, right after I left the
Yeah.
company. And the other
100%.
thing, Jay, that I didn't add there is this. It's
Mhm.
very interesting. It's one of the things, I don't know if one of your guests have done this already, but
Yeah.
if not, this is gonna be like uniquely mine.
Mhm.
What I did, Jay, was 6 months prior, the 6 months prior for me leaving from me leaving the company.
Uh-huh.
6 months prior to that, I had a kind of like a discussion with my employer, my boss that time, and we kind of it's a kind of discussion where
Got it.
I
Mhm.
felt so insecure
Uh-huh.
with being an employee.
Mhm.
And so what I did, Jay, was this. I There is a website. It's called futureme.org. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, I've heard
Futureme.
it. Yeah, yeah. Future me
Yeah,
that. Where mhm.
futureme.org.
What's
Basically,
it?
you can email your future self.
Got it.
Right. So what I did, Jay, I went straight to the computer. I was feeling all this anxiousness and emotion, and the
Uh-huh.
feeling of like this
Lost.
was
Yeah. Mhm.
yeah, the feeling lost and feeling like insecure. And
Uh-huh.
so I wrote down to my future self. And then I dated it a year after, Jay. A year, 1 year, exactly a year from that point. I said like so I told myself like I wish I now know how insecure it is to be employed, and I want you to be a business owner. That's what I said to my future self, future Joseph. I
Got it.
want you to be a business owner,
Uh-huh.
and I want you to earn from your own energy, and I want you to earn from your own talent and skill, and I want you to enjoy life, and I want you to work on projects that you're so passionate about. This is what I said in that mail. And so I forgot all about that mail, Jay. I forgot all about that mail up until 1 year later, it appeared in my inbox. And
Ooh.
then when I read it, I was like, oh my
Oh,
goodness,
wow.
everything that I said there in that email, everything I said there was actually happening to me. And I said like, oh my goodness, I actually forgot about this. Anyway, I just like to share
Wow.
that because
Yeah, yeah,
like from
that's
that point,
cool.
NYJ, I
Uh-huh.
started writing emails to myself
Yes.
for my future self.
That's weird, but I think writing I can stress you out that how writing is really important in terms of your personal growth or personal finances. That's really a great way to to envision what you are capable of, or maybe
Mm,
you don't know that you are
yes.
capable of doing that thing right now. But if you try to envision that or whatever you call it, or vision board, or
Yeah.
writing it down, it's really fascinating and interesting as well, because it's really work, right? So, and we can vibe that from your story as well. And Joseph, I think a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs, let's say corporate junkie right now, that are really scared, or how, and asking how, asking a lot of questions from your journey, from your experiences. What is there one formula or one thing that you think that make a difference or make an impact when it comes to your life? How how to overcome those
Sure.
challenges or adversity? I think one of the biggest struggles, or especially creatives or creative entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs, are uncertainty. Like it's freaking it's freaking
Yeah.
scary, right? So it's
It's scary.
yeah. Is it a internal motivation, or it's a natural progression? What do you think about that?
Okay. Let me just answer it this way, Jay. Like
Yeah.
if I were to think about the best practices that I know now that I
Uh-huh.
think would work if I were still an employee
Hmm.
in transition to become an entrepreneur, what would they be? And
Got
I
it.
think, right, I would. So the first thing I would like to say, tip number one would be get out of debt. Just get out of debt.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
the reason for this is that if you're still in debt, you will have very few options. And if you're thinking that being an entrepreneur would involve increase your cash flow so much that would conquer your debt, you're still going to be the same person. So, just get out of
100%.
that. Do a debt-free strategy, right? Yeah, debt-free strategy. Just plan that out. Second thing is run. Physical exercise. So the thing
Yeah.
about this is,
Mm-hmm.
when I was growing up, Jay, like physical exercise was always downplayed in my family. Like sports and physical exercise was downplayed in my family, and so I didn't really value it growing up. But now, I realized that, like, if you want to develop your mind, you have to develop your body, because there's a mind-body connection. The more you kind of challenge your physical body, the more your mind develops grit
Mm-hmm.
and
100%. Mm-hmm.
right, grit
Yeah.
and what they call the adversity quotient. So
Yes.
this is the reason why, if you look at business people with sports background, they are very they can easily handle the stress, and the
Yeah.
reason for that is because their body has been subjected to concentrated, just good amount of stress that whenever I'm telling you, like, the stress in the business is all mental, but you
Yes.
can conquer it by developing your
Mm-hmm.
body. So what I do, Jay, right now is I try, not try, but I run. My goal is to run every single day
Got
for
it.
5 kilometers per day, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
my or if I will not run, I will actually do a brisk walk. But that's the goal. And I do like long runs once a month. But basically, the reason why, like, if you're an employee and you haven't really uh, you know developed your body, and this is the reason why fear is setting in in the body, because, like,
Yeah.
yeah, like
100%. Mm-hmm.
physically you're not fit.
Yes.
And so those couple of things. And then third is, if you really want to transition, it's not your idea that will make you an entrepreneur. It's the
Uh-huh.
market.
Got it.
Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm a believer of find an existing market and look at what problems can you fix in that market. Like, it's good to earn from your passion. I think that's the ideal. Like, if you're passionate about something, it's nice to earn, but sometimes your passion, it's not easily to cut. Your passion and which is where how you build your cash flow. Sometimes there's no direct correlation to it, or there's no connection to it. And
Yep.
so I'm a strong believer in finding the market,
Mm-hmm. Got it.
and then the market first, and then then the business will follow. Because if you think about, let's look at Airbnb, for example.
Mm-hmm.
They know that there's a market, because there isn't enough hotels.
Got it.
How did they started? Like, they started with, how did they marketed it? Like, there are gonna be alternative hotels for people who are for places that have conventions. So for example, one of the things I noticed, if I remember correctly, one of the founders said this, that, like, one of the things I noticed is, whenever there's a convention in a particular area, there
Mm-hmm.
isn't enough hotels for the attendees, and so that's kind of the
Got it.
space that they're playing.
Yeah.
So, like, this is one of the things. Like, if I were to coach someone to start a business, I would be coaching someone to find a market first, to
Got
find
it.
this group of people, right? So I think that's the key there. So once they're, if I were an employee today, I would first go back, like, try to get out of debt, right? Do
Mm-hmm.
a debt-free plan.
Got
Second
it.
thing is, develop the body.
Mm-hmm.
And the third, I would go is, find a market that I can serve on the side. And once then the ideal scenario that I shared to you, Jay, wherein, like, I was doing the business on the side, then it would play out, I think, in
Yeah.
a much better fashion, because I wouldn't advise, Jay, my path to anyone. That path was, like, to me, was very scary. It was not
100%.
very scary for myself. It was scary
It's
for my
crazy.
family.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my friends are worried.
Uh-huh.
Like, my close friends were really worried.
Mm-hmm.
They said, like, I have a feeling that you can do it, but I'm still worried about you. And
Yeah.
so, I wouldn't want to put anybody in that situation.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, that's really cool, and I'm really connecting with that story as well because I've been into corporate ladder as well, or corporate employee in a BPO sector, but still connected with my high paying skills, which is design. But I find it really exhausting, and I think it's correlated with the principle that you've mentioned as well previously, which is the rest. I found a book which is called Essentialism, The Disciplined Pursuit of Rest,
Yes.
with Greg McCone. I'm sure you've heard that before.
Yeah.
And when I that's the only one book that challenged my mind. How can I change my life into a more more optimized life, so to speak. And I just want to highlight the first one that you've said, the debt free, right? So it's
Right.
an uphill battle in every one of us, especially as a Filipino, because I think I'm born with debt, with debt because of my
That's
parents,
true.
right?
It's
Or
so
because of
true.
our country, right?
Yeah.
Let's be honest, right? So, but for me, on my personal journey, me and my wife are finding ways to find what's coming in, or to monitor what's coming in and what's coming out. And that's as well that's the things that I advise as well to my for those who are asking me as well when it comes to personal finances. Because if you don't have any idea what your let's say finance income goals, or what are
Right.
what are the bills, right? So we created I think it's a Google sheet as well. It's a basic Google sheet, and then add what's coming in and add what's coming out, and it will compute the annual revenue of what
Right.
we are doing, or what ever coming in our business. So that's really powerful as well for those who aspire to be to be a business owner, run a
Right.
try to be debt free, right? So that's
Yeah. I
speaking
mean,
us.
one of the
Uh,
people that we interviewed was one of the owners of like the major chains in
uh-huh.
major chain restaurants in Cebu. Is very very
Yeah.
wealthy, very kind, also very nice person.
Hmm.
And when I asked him about like what's one thing that this is what I asked him, like if what's one thing that business people should be doing, you think, because he's
Got
coaching
it.
basically business people. I said,
Got it.
what's one thing that that if you look at all the business people that you're coaching, that they should be doing but they haven't done it. And this is what he
Yeah.
said: you have to watch your numbers. I don't think
Got it.
people are watching their numbers. And
100%.
I'm gonna tell you, when I listen to that, I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm so
100%.
guilty.
Yeah.
So guilty. And this is
Yes.
coming from a guy who's very successful. And he
Yeah.
said, like, I really believe that people hasn't watched their numbers enough. And because this what does in the every morning, Jay, is that he looks at all the reports from his different companies every single
Yeah.
morning.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's crazy.
That's
But
crazy.
yeah,
Yeah. But it's really powerful if you learn to apply it, and to
yeah,
execute it really well, like what Joseph said. And for those who are listening, make sure you are taking notes, because I'm taking notes as well, right? So,
yeah,
and yeah, and Joseph, for those, for all of the things that you're doing right now, cool stuff you're doing, what are is there any uh, internal motivations for to do all of this, to challenge yourself to do great or act big every time
sure.
when it comes to your life, when it comes to your business? Can you share that with our listeners?
Sure. I grew up with a sense, Jay, and I don't know if this is true for many
Uh-huh.
people. I grew up with a sense, I don't know, that I'm special.
Got it.
I'm always feel like, I don't
Uh-huh.
know, like if for some reason I grew up like, I'm different and special.
Mhm.
And there's that motivation that, that I need to do great things in life.
Got it.
Um and I guess, that's very important. um but now part of that part of me is there, but I think the higher motivation now is really my family. Like when I look at my wife, my kids, and
Mm-hmm.
I want to build a better life than what I have given them. And so that's, I think it would boil down to that. Like if I were to think about like uh in Tagalog, no, para kanino ka bumabangon,
Yeah.
right?
That's a famous
uh,
ad here in the
yeah,
Philippines,
it's a famous
right?
ad in the Philippines, right? So it means for the foreign audience that to whom, what's the reason why you're waking up every morning,
Yeah, that's
like
powerful. Mm-hmm.
what's making, yeah, what's the what who's that person that makes you feel come alive, that you like, today I'm not gonna sleep and watch Netflix all day. Like today I'm just gonna wake up and jump and run for like 1 hour, right?
Yeah.
And the reason why I do that is really for my kids. Like I want, really for my wife. Like um yeah, that's the internal motivation. I just want to build a better life for them, and really not just that, I want us to enjoy this life, together, as a family. And so this is why, like for example, one of the decisions that I did for my family was that I enrolled my daughter in a homeschooling class instead of a normal school, because whenever my daughter would ask like, why do you want me to be homeschooled, I said, because I just want to spend time more with you, and I think you're gonna learn a lot from daddy, that's what I would
Yeah.
tell her, right? Yeah. And
Uh-huh.
so those are the internal motivation. The other thing
Yeah.
is I really want to give value. So outside of our family, I really want to give value. It just sparks my, it just sparks so much excitement whenever someone basically takes whatever I say and run with it and basically build a great thing out of it. Like, um, I feel great whenever, for example, in our podcasting class, someone there would build a podcast and send us a link, right? I mean, like that's so cool. Or like someone who listens to our podcast, The Big Picture, and would say, you know what, thank you so much, I listened to this episode and I
100%.
realized that I want to build a business. That to me is so exciting. I feel more, I would say, affirmed that I'm
Mhm.
doing the right thing because I hear things like this from people, and I want to hear more of that. Like,
Yes.
Tony Robbins said that there is a, like, one of the basic need of a human being is the need to contribute, to provide a great contribution. And so that's the need that I want. Like, to I really feel like, especially Filipinos, right, I feel like we're still in the process of rising up and
Yeah.
knowing who we are as a country, as an individual, as a nation, and our place in the world, right? And so I really believe that we're still in the process, Jay, of shedding 400 years of colonial mentality. We're in that
Yeah.
process now. We're in
Mhm.
the process now of like looking at what is really a Filipino. And this is the reason why we have conversations of changing the name of our country. And
Mhm.
it's just a natural progression of like
Yeah.
thinking, who are we if we were not colonized? Who were we if we were not thinking that way? What were the right behavior and thinking and mindset that we should embrace as a nation? And so and I want to contribute to that. One of the things that Dave and I usually discuss in the Big Picture podcast is the idea of Filipino 2.0. And Filipino
Yes.
2.0 is really more of a and more aware kind of people. I think we're in that version. We want to contribute to that, and this is the reason why we with the podcast we believe that if people will keep on listening to podcasts, they actually become better people. I really believe that. Like if
100%.
like like for example with your content, Jay, and our content, for example, like if they keep on listening, and it was really true. Like for example, there was this lady, she was like managing in one company, like she's an employee in one company, and she
Mhm.
was like, because we have an event, and she said, oh, you have a podcast, I don't know what a podcast is. And I said, like, yeah, just go to download these apps
Yes.
and then look for the Big Picture podcast.
Mhm.
And she said, like, I actually listened to, after I think a few weeks later,
Oh,
she said, I actually listened to all the episodes there, and
wow.
I'm now thinking of like starting a side business, a side hustle. And And to me, Jay, that's a win. That's a win.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you think about that, that makes my mind, thick. Those are the type of
Yeah.
motivation that I have.
Yeah, that's really, that's really powerful. And I think Dave mentioned this as well. And I always heard this to the podcast as well, that Filipinos are born great, right? So we are born to
Yeah.
be great. We just, we just in the we just need to, take more action and take more, take more valuable content than, when I call it sabaw, kasi dati yung mga content natin right now is especially in the in
TV.
the media, right, in the TV, right?
Yeah.
So all of the contents are really, I might
There's no value add.
sabaw, right? No value
I'm
add.
sorry, but majority of these
Yes.
things that we watch in the TV, I would there's no value add, Jay. So
100%. Yeah. Yeah.
just a couple of things to add there. Like someone told me, Jay, that in every situation we have to wear two shoes,
Got it.
Nike and Adidas. Have you heard of this?
No, not
Hindi
yet.
ba? No,
Yes.
not yet. So I
Yeah.
said, like, in every situation, like especially if we're doing something new, right?
Got it.
If we're planning to do something great,
Uh-huh.
we have to wear two shoes. One on our right is Nike, another on our left is Adidas. Because Nike, it says just do it, right? And Adidas, nothing is impossible.
Oh, that's really cool. Right.
It was cool. So
Yeah.
I always remember that whenever I meet something new, like I think Dave mentioned
Mhm.
in the podcast that like he wanted to start the podcast, right? And then when we met, that's exactly one way we started. And the reason for that is I believe that I'm using that in my mind, right? That I'm wearing two shoes, like whether are we gonna start the podcast or not. So in my mind, it's Nike, just do it.
Just do it.
And like whatever the problem is, nothing is impossible.
Wow, that's really cool. And actually, in terms of podcasting, when we talk really casual, that's where people learn, because I think when you cut the noise,
Yeah.
noise, and just be intentional when it comes to talking, listening with your guests or with your audience, that's really really powerful as well when it
True.
comes to podcasting. And then that's one of the things why I chose podcasting. And for those who are listening, right? So it's really great to know these things, because you might be, want to motivate yourself to create things that you want to create, or you want to start to be great, right? So that's it.
Right.
And yeah, well, let's go back, Joseph, with you, right? So I know that you're a husband, you're a father, and then you're a business owner, and you're doing a lot of entrepreneur stuff in the side. And how do you manage all of that stuff, life stuff and business stuff, right? So do you have any productivity tips for our listeners, especially for those procrastinator, right? So let's say procrastinate. It's a uphill battle, to keep procrastinating and be lazy, right? We know that it's always a battle for us as well. And do you have any apps recommendation for them?
Okay, sure. So first, if you haven't, for those guys who've been procrastinating, always remember the two shoes thing. Like Nike and Adidas. Always think about that. Like whenever there's something. And the other thing, Jay, is that what I noticed, like when we started interviewing in the podcast,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure like Dave mentioned this to you, and for sure you've experienced this because you're interviewing a lot of people, right? And that when we started doing something so different than we're casually doing, right? We're normally doing back then, we realized that we're experiencing something that's so different. Like what, like Einstein said, like if you're doing the same thing, you don't expect the same result, right?
Yes.
But if you're doing something different, if you're doing something that's not normal and unordinary, then you're gonna expect something different. And so, this is my procrastination. I would say procrastination was this cure, and it's always to practice practice moving forward to the thing that you're afraid of, right? Let's just move forward. If you're afraid of public speaking, just do a online vlog, or just move forward and closer to towards that, and then experience something different and weird. And this is exactly what happened to us with the podcast. Like we experienced something that made us different people. So after working on the podcast for I think a couple of years now, realized like, wow, the effect
Yes.
was so different. We become better people because we hang out with people who are very motivated, who are excellent in their field, and we're learning, different, not just techniques, but behavior and pattern.
Yeah.
And
100%.
we also hang out with them, right? So, and then in terms of productivity tool, Jay, I'm now using what's called a bullet journal. Have you heard about this bullet journal?
Yeah, I've heard that before. Got
Yeah.
it.
So there's a book now. It's called Bullet Journal. I haven't even heard about these things. I'm a fan of JTD. Sorry, not J. GTD. Getting Things Done by David Allen. I'm a fan, and then because I have a software background. I'm fun with Agile and Kanban and different tools, right? But bullet journal just brings everything together. So if you want to study that, yeah, I think in terms of productivity and really just what do you call this? Really just
get things done, right?
Not just get things done, Rick. Just when we use bullet journal, just putting everything together, the best practice of GTD and Kanban. And the good thing about this is that when you start writing down, I know you mentioned a while ago about like the power of writing things down, right?
Yes.
But when you start writing things down, like especially in like a journal type, you can actually compare. You can learn from your past.
Got it.
And there's valuable lesson that you can learn from journaling. So what I do is like, I go back. So what I felt now, I've been using the bullet journal for let me see what date, since June. I think I'm looking at it now, just to be sure, right? Been using it since just to be accurate, since June 6th.
Ooh,
and now June 25. So I've been using that now. I used to do just a normal to-do list. I've used Wunderlist before. It just feels so awkward, when you're out there. I'm driving out in the bank or out in a meeting. It's just so awkward, like transitioning from digital to analog. So what I do is I put everything in a notebook. So I bought my wife bought me a notebook. It's a free form notebook, and I just write down like this date and this is my plan. These are the minor tasks that I'm doing. These are the projects that I'm doing, and just prioritize like the top 3 for the day. Prioritize which one like will really move the needle. And that's what I've been doing, and I felt an increase in productivity, and not just increase in productivity. I'm getting closer to some of the goals that I want, like for my company, for my family, and for myself as a person.
Yeah, that's really cool. And for those who are listening, make sure to check that out. I think I've heard bullet journal before, and I think a lot of creatives are using that as well. But I prefer to use a usual journal, and I don't know. I try to torment myself to add it manually, right? So, but it's based on your preferences. What works for me?
The good thing about adding it manually, is that you actually remember.
Yeah, 100%.
Around. Yes. I mean, you remember. This was the goal that I left undone, and so you make a decision whether do I still want to do this or not. Yes. Right. So I still do the same thing, Jay. Like for example, the task that I haven't done since June 8th is still here in June 25th journal. It's still here, and so it's nagging me like, I should make a decision because all these things.
Yeah.
You see, right? I'm copying everything. Like for example, I have a goal on. I have a to-do list. Just a simple task. Let's just say washing my car. Like I don't know. Just simple. Like maybe it's still there. Washing my car on June 8th. So I copy it on June 9 because I haven't washed my car on June 9, June 10. Right? And I always write the thing that the wash my car. So like part of me said like, why am I always writing this when in fact it would just take me an hour to drive my car down the road and have someone wash it for me. So that's that. It does get like in many way or form, you're actually accomplishing something that's dear to you, but you just put off. So
Got
you're
it.
procrastinating
Yeah.
on all these things.
For sure, yeah, I will check that out. Thanks, man, for sharing that. And before we wrap up the show, for those who are listening, for those who are aspiring to be a creative entrepreneur or to create what they want, to be great with their on what they are doing, right? So on their passion, what's your best practical advice for them?
Okay, so for those who are creative entrepreneurs, who wants to kind of make a living out of that, of their passion, right? My advice would be to find a market. Because like by the end of the day, are you familiar with ikigai?
Ikigai, not sure. I've
Okay,
never
so
heard before. Yeah.
if you're gonna Google that, it's the intersection
Mhm.
between
Got it.
your passion, what the world needs, and
Mhm.
um, we just search it. Yeah, so your passion, your mission, your profession, and your vocation,
Got
and
it.
what you love, and everything like that. So you can do a quick Google, and you should see like circles, and the
Uh-huh.
ikigai is that centerpiece.
Got it.
So it's the intersection about what you love, what the world needs, what they can pay for, and what you're good at. So if you can define that, I think it's easy. So to me, what's really hard in this aspect, because number one, it's easy to know what you love, right? It's easy to know what you're good at if you're self-aware enough, and then it's easy to know what the world needs because you can see it. But what you can be paid for, that's a bit of a stretch. You really have to think about it.
Yeah.
So if you can go to the ikigai process, I think that would really ease up things for you if you really want to earn from your passion. However, Jay, I don't know if you will agree with this. Uh, I believe that you don't have to earn from your passion right away.
Mhm.
I
100%.
feel,
I
yeah,
agree
I
with
mean,
that.
I feel like if you want to force your passion to earn from your passion, you're just kind of creating a pressure,
Yeah.
so that an unnecessary pressure, so that your passion can like no longer be your passion. Like
Yes.
you can see it from a lot of people. You remember the time where there was a lot of photographers because like the DSLR are like being sold,
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
yeah, I mean there was like a trend wherein like a DSLR are being bought in volumes, right? And I actually overheard people during a wedding that when they after a few weddings that they started like shooting because they want to earn from their passion. Their passion is they
Mhm.
want to take really great photos of people who are in love, for example, and then they decided, oh, I'm gonna be a wedding photographer.
Yeah.
And I actually one of those guys I've listened on the side, overheard them and saying like, since I started doing this, like after 20, 30 times that I'm in a wedding, I actually hate what I'm doing. And so
Yeah.
this is the reason why, it you don't really have to. And to me, if you have a market, I mean, your business doesn't have to be like your passion. To me, your business could be paying for your passion. You know what I mean? Like, for
Got it.
example, if your passion is something else, like maybe tendering a garden, right, or
Yeah.
growing flowers, you don't
Yeah.
have to sell flowers. I mean, you can have a business that would finance the
Yes.
purchasing of the garden, the flowers, and all that.
Yeah, that's really cool, and that's amazing as well because I think I don't know if it's just me. When you put a mindset to earn from it right now, or to fantasize that if I do this, I love this one and I will earn from it a lot of money from it, right? So I think that's really for me it's really weird, right? So
Agree.
if you love that as well, just do it and make sure that you are loving it because when man a lot of I think a lot of creatives that I know that they love what I do, what they are doing, right? So and they're earning good money, and then sometimes they just put a lot of money from their passion as well, right? So
Yeah.
it's weird, right? So some people want to find what they love to earn, and some people love what they're doing, but they put a lot of effort and money to that passion, and it's
Yeah.
just weird, right? So it's just a simple
Okay.
explanation of what Joseph, and it's just to highlight that. So man, thank you so much for sharing all of your journey. How do you reinvent yourself, and a lot of challenges that you overcome, and especially the practical advice that's really meaningful for me, and as well for the TDLS audience as well, because I know I believe that journey is really powerful than sharing your achievements, sharing what you've got, right, sharing all the numbers right. So
Sure.
for me,
Yeah.
journey is
Agree.
really powerful, especially for those who are aspire to be great, or to be an entrepreneur or a business owner as well. So before I forgot, man, if we talk again, let's say we're talking right now, 25 June 2019, and we will talk again 1 year from now. Let's say, what's your vision for your business, for your company, and can you share that for TDLS audience?
Sure. So part of the expansion that I'm looking at is doing more, expanding, not just from a listing standpoint but from a marketing standpoint. Like my vision is to have multiple properties, like managing multiple properties across at least the city now, and different locations. And so like a year from now I would like to see that happen. I'd
Got
like
it.
to see like more of these properties that are branded within our company, um,
I like.
like
How
being
about
there.
your personal growth 1 year from now?
Personal growth, you know what, I'm in a really great spot right now.
Got
I'm
it.
simplifying my life. I'm
Yes.
simplifying my life. So I like the trend, like especially with the bullet journal. I'm
Yes.
more focused.
Yeah.
I realize the value of focus and less distraction. Like
100%.
like I realize now, Jay, that I actually know less what's happening with other people's life because I rarely check Facebook now.
Yeah.
I rarely take
Uh-huh.
time to scroll like what's happening with like so and so, right? I used to take some time because it's fun and it's exciting to know what's going on with other people's life. But I realize now, like I need to simplify my life so that I can simplify my business and I can enjoy more time with what really matters, right? So I'm in that path now, and
Got it.
I just want to see that,
Yeah.
not just like a year from now, but more and more, even beyond. I'll be
Love that.
more,
Yeah.
I'll be more
Love that.
simplified, and
Yes.
I'm more efficient also
Yeah.
with my time and energy.
Yeah. Happiness is the real goal, right? It's
Yeah,
internal peace, right?
true.
So that's really
That's true.
powerful. Thanks,
That's
man,
true.
for sharing that. I really value your time, and your energy, the good vibe are overflowing
Yeah,
this
you too,
conversation.
man.
Thank you so much, bro. And for those who interested to know more about you, to know more about your works, and what are you doing, what's the best links that they can go to and reach
Sure.
you out? Mhm.
Yeah. I You can see me, sorry, my Instagram handle is Joseph.Librero, my name. And then they can actually follow me in my Facebook page. I My personal Facebook page is a personal blog. um just search my name, Joseph Librero. I should show up with a personal blog, and then
Got it.
people would message me. I normally just answer there. And of course, the big picture, you go to the big picture.ph, or go to facebook.com/the big picture. Let me just make sure it's correct. The big picture, that the big picture. Let
Yeah,
me
that's
see.
it.
That's it.
Got it.
And then of course my new stuff is
Uh,
in facebook.com/passion cafe TV.
yeah, the investment guide, right?
Yes. Yeah. So Passion Cafe TV, just to clarify, Passion Cafe TV is like the ABS-CBN,
And the
and mine is
mothership,
like,
right? Got
yeah,
it.
the mother. the mothership, and then mine is like ANC on the money type.
Got it. That's really cool. Yeah, that's really cool. It's interesting as well for those creatives who, you know, don't have any, you know, 360 full view of their finances or their personal finances. You gotta check that out for those who are listening. So for those who are listening as well, if you love to know more about Joseph, my friend here, you can check out the notes or show notes below. If you're listening to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and SoundCloud, or in any of your favorite podcast app, just scroll down and you will surely get all the links that we've as well the recommendations that we talk about in this episode. And as well, go to thedesignlifeshow.com and check all the great episodes, including this episode with Joseph. So that's it. Thank you so much. I want to thank you a ton again, Joseph, for dropping by on the podcast.
Thank you, Jay.
I learned a lot,
and
I really love the vibe and the positive vibe that you bring on the show. Thanks, man, and talk to you soon again.
Yes, awesome. Thanks.
And that's it. Thank you so much for listening to the Design Life Show. I hope you guys enjoy this episode. If you want to support the show, you can do so on Patreon. Head over to patreon.com/TDLS or go to thedesignlifeshow.com. And you can find the donate button on the top to learn more on how you can support the show. And for some cool extra stuff, you can get an access to my private contents like AMAs, where I take questions exclusively from Patreon subscribers, or check out other stuff I made where I talk about essentialism, design, creativity, and business. I give a lot of value into this podcast that can't be seen anywhere else online. Again, that's patreon.com/TDLS. Thanks for listening to the show, and talk to you guys again next week.